666 The Mark of America, Seat of the Beast Section 9 The End of Times. Faced with a continual battle in order to maintain, assert, and protect individuality, humankind finds itself precariously close to being destroyed from within. Complete annihilation appears to be the destination. Humans are headed for along a path of self-protection and defense of the human ego. This ego is the wise one's idea of his or her own importance and worth compared to others. Some have an exaggerated sense of their own importance and a feeling of superiority over other people. This minority threatens and exploits the majority of humankind. Nevertheless, all struggle incessantly with the universal reality of existence, empirically expressed in the self by the adage, I think, therefore I am. It is in how an individual thinks that threatens the very essence of the am therefore established. How a person thinks about the self determines how one is treated, and also how others are treated. Self-deprecating thoughts can destroy an individual, whether by drugs, alcohol, overeating, or allowing the natural urges of sex to overwhelm normal thinking patterns. This destruction occurs when the physical body and its needs become the main focus of existence. When this focal point has been established within the mind of the individual, the point of thinking is missed, and therefore, the point of existence also. Thinking has absolutely nothing to do with the physical body. If it did, then those with the greatest minds would have the greatest physical attributes. As human egos go, those who spend their existence in pursuit of improving the physical nature of the body can lack in the ability and exercise of thinking. Conversely, those wise ones who are distinguished by others as being full of wisdom are not generally considered as physically beautiful to the preconceived standards of the human eye. The human world has become inundated with the idea of beauty, thus perpetuating an image of the self based on the outward physical body. It has done this in hopes of establishing a value and worth to individuality. Beauty magazines promote low self-esteem when the models, who are paid generously to become the image of human perfection, are seen and revered by those whose natural physical body will never be worthy of the measure that has been set. Natural aging brings depression and hopelessness, adding to the invented belief that an individual does not exist unless the self stands out in the eyes of others. Physical goals of asserting and defending the self are perfectly in line when dealing with the reality of individual existence, but they have created a new adage, I am, therefore I don't need to think. The thinking has already been done for humans in the standards and measures set by the society into which they have come into existence. These have replaced individuality, the essence of free will, with forced submission to the whole, thereby negating existence by not allowing the expression of the individual. Those who do not meet the standards and measures established are removed from the whole. Ironically, it is this imagined reality that will eventually lead to the extinction of the human race. When the more physically powerful groups of wise ones destroy the weaker ones, all that will be left is a group of beings continually fixated on asserting, maintaining, and protecting the self in spite of the group. The bacteria of human ego will destroy the whole from within. Natural law cannot be superseded and replaced with inventions that work against it. Free-willed entities must be allowed to be who and what they are, or by their free will, the natural course of their existence will end. New ways are found to improve the outward physical body in order to get closer to the set standard of perfection. Disregarding inward needs, faster and more efficient ways are discovered to destroy human life through warfare. These advancements in technology have the potential of destroying humankind from within and without. Human salvation can only come in respecting the self and supporting its right to exist separately from others. We must learn to do unto others what we would have them do unto us. Or better, We must allow others to exist and pursue who they are as they desire, as we would want them to allow us to exist and pursue who we are. We cannot establish standards of beauty, education, monetary success, and other measures in order to define the value and worth of an individual. We cannot set expectations for human existence if we want to allow others to exist as we do. When a free-willed wise one is born into a world that has already determined what must be done in order to establish oneself as a viable human being, it becomes unstable and unhappy. This is because it cannot maintain the natural balance that makes it a wise one and not an animal. It cannot be forced into submission against its free will and its ability to use its reason, thinking, to determine who and what it is as an individual, and still maintain balance. It must be allowed free agency, and the right to exercise this agency, in order to fulfill the measure of its creation individuality. The wise one cannot be told what beauty is, but must be allowed to use its reasoning capabilities to determine its own perception. It must defend its individuality when it does not meet the expectation and standard of beauty others have instituted. The balance of peace and happiness comes from being amongst others who see each individual as beautiful no matter if the appearance of another is different from their own, seeing the beauty in others as they would like others to see theirs. A free-willed being cannot be forced to survive as a slave, becoming part of a worldwide conglomerate of corporate greed and profit. The planet does not exist by the laws of nature just to maintain the individuality of only one, but of all life thereupon. The natural resources of the earth cannot be controlled by one individual's assertion of self without regard to everyone else's natural prerogative to claim the same right. Imaginary lines, borders, cannot be established making one group's pursuit and support of individuality of more worth than another's, nor can the resources of earth be owned and controlled within these pretended boundaries. If the laws of nature create a life, then these same laws must support it. All wise ones are equally endowed with the inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness as each desires by exercising his or her own free agency. Only when laws, statutes, expectations, and standards are instituted to guarantee this, will there be established a foundation of peace and happiness that will bring balance to human existence. Groups of some cannot be allowed to create their own standards and force these standards upon others whom do not agree with them. Those groups, who create illusory lines, borders, that separate one human from another, also invent imaginary entities that transcend the ability to be controlled by the logic of human reason. This creates emotional borders that are enforced with the same hate and prejudice as physical borders. Any religion or God that does not support the law of allowing the free will of another, and does not teach its followers to do the same, does not support the essence or reality of existence. If it does not teach one to react, or do not react, in a way that supports an individual's right, as long as theirs is not being influenced, then it does not exist itself, or cannot be allowed to exist and destroy the peace of humankind. Abstract material value, money, cannot create a measuring stick by which individuality is calculated, nor can it be a requirement for existence when life itself is free. In order to establish peace and happiness, all wise ones must be freely provided with the means to exist: food, shelter, clothing, and health care. These things structure the guarantee of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Without this assurance, the true essence of life, self-awareness, loses its meaning. Liberty is counteracted by servitude to those who place their own life above that of others. Happiness becomes a hope and ambition instead of the natural balance of life. The wise ones must utilize their free will and unique ability to reason in order to stop inventing things that protect individuality, and instead use this intelligence and dominion over the natural world to support it. Protecting one's own life and individuality without regard for the protection of others creates fear, war, and destruction, while supporting life and guaranteeing equality in the pursuit of individuality lays a foundation of peace that leads to lasting happiness. This foundation must come from a worldwide effort that transcends nationality, race, religion, pride, and personal ego, in order to address the human problem of inequality, hopelessness, and unhappiness. The 99% majority must unite and demonstrate to the powerful 1% that controls their destinies and has disregarded the guarantee of life, a solidarity of strength and resolve. They must demand the premise of human decency: all humans are created equal. However, the powerful minority cannot be denied what the majority is demanding of them either. They also have a right to wealth, pride, prestige, and distinction, and anything else their egos require of their free will. What can be insisted upon is that the powerful use their might and authority to support the individualism of all people by turning the effectiveness of their ability to make war and conquer into eliminating the struggle of human existence, turning their swords into plowshares. If a wise one is allowed to exist in freedom, his or her natural course will fulfill the reason for human existence, happiness, and allow it to be properly experienced. Religious prophets and social pundits have made various attempts throughout human history to eliminate poverty and inequality. There is only one human organization that has ever been founded on the premise of worldwide equality and the guarantee of food, shelter, clothing, and health care to all wise ones. This organization has the proper formula needed to succeed. It is the Worldwide United Foundation, www.wwunited.org. This united effort is the last chance for the species of wise ones to stop their decline and spiral into chaos, turmoil, and emotional and physical destruction. United, the people of the earth can solve their own problems and reinstate the preamble of their existence. We are free-willed beings with the ability to reason and use our free agency to establish our own individuality. If we cannot do it for ourselves, the only hope is that a wise one who lives on another planet where peace and happiness is the norm, and who has much more wisdom, power, and knowledge than us, will come to this earth and save us from ourselves. This will be done by establishing supreme law and order based on the proven universal principle: value others as you value yourself. The end of times of war, inequality, and unhappiness must cease, or the end of times of the human race will come. In the words of a wise one who knows, even so, come. This concludes 666, The Mark of America, Seed of the Beast, Section 9, The End of Times.